All right, hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for clicking on this video and for joining me on another e-bike review. This is the 2021 Cyrusher XF900. Now I've already reviewed the 650 and also the 800 from Cyrusher, so you can check my playlist, reviews and comparisons if you want to see some more information about those. But today we're going to take a close-up look at this guy. Now I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about it, at least what I think you need to know about it. And we'll go through the bike front to back, top to bottom as we always do, so you can get a close-up look at the components so you can see what you get for your money. Right now on the website, I think this goes for about $2,800 bucks. E-bike prices seem to, fluctuate and vary, so it could be a little less than that at times if you find a special deal, but that's roughly what this bike is going for right now. And Cyrusher calls this their motorcycle-inspired e-bike, which I'm sure has a lot to do with these massive gold front forks on this bike, which make it look awesome. So we'll get started by taking a look at all the components you get on this bike, and I will try to deliver as much information as I possibly can. Then we'll look at the performance of the bike a little bit, and then we'll kind of wrap it up at the end. And two things I always like to tell you right from the get-go are, number one, I am not a professional in any capacity. I'm not an e-bike technician. I'm not an engineer. I am not even a cyclist. I'm just your average rider of e-bikes. So that is the perspective I like to deliver information from and just kind of let you know what it's like for your average Joe to ride this thing. And the second thing is that this bike is here courtesy of Cyrusher. I did not purchase this bike. They sent this to me for the purpose of doing a review and getting some information out there. So that's what we're doing today. So we're not going to get too overly technical today. If you want all the technical specifications, you can hit the website, cyrusher.com. Everything is listed there for your review. So let's take a look at this bike up close. All right, so there's the overall view of the Cyrusher XF900. And this bike, this is probably one of my favorite things about this bike, is just the stance of this bike. And I don't know if it's the positioning of that rear suspension or the giant front forks or what it is. It just looks tough to me. And I really like that look. It's kind of like when you see a pickup truck go down the road that you can tell has a little bit larger tires on it and a little bit of a lift kit in it. Nothing too dramatic, but it just has that tough stance. And that's kind of the feeling I get from this thing. It looks cool, man. That's one of my favorite things about this bike. Now there are other color options for this bike. You can also get blue or yellow. And as far as the setup goes, super easy. You're putting on the pedals, the fenders, the handlebars, and the front wheel, and that's pretty much it. And this thing's set up, so I mean, it takes like an hour at the most. But let's jump up and start with the front tires here. So these are Chow Yang on the brand. You can also get Kendas, and I've actually gotten CST tires before on these Cyrusher bikes. You do have a quick release on the front wheel here, and the brakes are full hydraulic brakes. They're Zoom hydraulic brakes, 180 millimeter rotors. I found these brakes to be okay. They weren't my favorite, actually. The Star Union brakes on that XF800 I felt worked a little bit better, but these were fine. I didn't have any issues stopping when I needed to stop. I just didn't think they were the best performing ones that I've ever felt. So here's a little bit of a close-up of this tread pattern. Somewhat aggressive, I guess. I mean, it's got a little bit of knobs on there. You could take it a little bit off-road if you wanted to. The Cyrusher does also give you this really bright headlight. This headlight is quite bright. There's 4 LEDs in there. I don't know the exact lumens on it, but it lights up the road pretty well. All right, let's jump right away into these front forks. I mean, this is the defining thing of this bike, I feel. It really gives it a different look. I mean, normally your front forks only come to like about right here. So you've got all this extra fork that goes all the way up to, the top of the headset here. And these forks just look massive on the bike. And that's what gives it that motorcycle-y kind of look. And something to note is when you unbox this thing, so right here and right here are what hold that fork in place. And to fit it in the box, they actually slid the forks up. So the forks were sticking up like maybe 4 inches or so above this front bracket here. And I had to slide the forks in those brackets, loosen all the Allen bolts on the back side. So right here and then right here. And I had to slide the forks down to get it into this position. They had to kind of shrink it down to fit it in the box. So it took me a second to actually figure out I needed to do that. The first ride I did on it, I didn't even have the forks in the right position. So just know that you're gonna have to adjust those forks within those brackets to get it into this configuration. Now I will say that these forks are quite stiff. I don't get a ton of travel, but enough that you can feel it. I mean, you can see right here. So this little rubber gasket thing here, I had it slid down to right here to the seal. And as I rode it, it compressed and it moved it up to here. So that's how much travel I guess I was getting out of the front forks. You notice it's there, but it's not super squishy like the other bikes. Now another cool thing about these forks is this rubber piece right here, which at first I wasn't sure what it was for exactly, because you can slide it up and down on the fork. I'm like, what is this thing for? And then I realized that is for when you lock out your steering, that rubber piece hits the frame instead of your fork hitting the frame. So great idea, whoever came up with that one. That's something I wouldn't have even thought of actually, but that's good that they have that there to save your fork and also the frame. All right, well, let's stay here on the front forks because there is a lot to discuss about these forks. You've got this compression adjustment knob here, which, you know, I couldn't figure out exactly what it was doing. I've turned it all the way each direction and I didn't notice a big difference either way. And, you know, I'm not a cyclist. I'm certainly not an front fork air suspension expert. I have no idea. So, you know, I didn't notice what this was doing as far as a major difference riding the bike. Now on the other side, you've got this, it's an air fork. So if you open up this cap here, you can see this little air adjustment valve. Wow, it's okay. Twist, 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 twist. There we go. So there you go. And if you know, punch that, it releases air. Now, the bike initially, I could not get the front forks to really compress or move at all. And I came up here and I pushed this button and a little bit of air came out, but not that much. So I actually got out my my bicycle pump and put air in the forks. It seemed like they needed air. So I put air in, and as I was airing it up and pumping it up, I could see the forks kind of jumping up like, okay, now it's got some travel, and they've been much better since then. I just had to put air pressure into the fork to get it to function. So now they're working. All right, well, I think that's all on the front fork. So let's jump up here to what's going on the handlebars. And we've got your Zoom full hydraulic brakes here with motor cutoffs, the horn button, the headlight button. But it is nice to have the one-touch headlight. I do like that button. You've got your mode and menu buttons here to adjust pedal assist. We'll come back to all the screen stuff at the very end. This bike, so here is your front derailleur shifter. This is a 21 speed bike. The handlebars are very flat. There's a lot of extra room here so you can mount stuff, your cell phone or bottle holders or whatever you got to mount. On the other side, we've got, of course, the rear derailleur shifters here, these trigger shifters. I like the trigger shifters better than the big, huge Mickey Mouse thumb thing. I like these a lot better. There's one on your index finger and one here on your thumb. Half twist throttle, and I think that is about all. The handlebars, they are very flat, and then they've got this extension that kind of comes out a little bit. I'm going to say maybe 3 or 4 inches or so. And just to give you an idea, from the ground to up to the grip right here is about 46 inches. That's how tall this thing is. Another thing I always like to point out, these cables are nicely tied. You've got the wraps here and then also like a neoprene cover here. So I do like that when they're kind of buttoned up and there's not just wires going everywhere. So I do like that. The horn, actually, just so you know, the horn's built into this headlight. It's in the back of that headlight. Now if we slide back here to the battery, you've got your on-off switch. You got to turn the battery on to turn the bike on. Charging port, USB port on the other side, and this is a 48 volt 17.5 amp hour battery. I did a range test on this bike earlier today actually, and I really pushed this bike hard. I rode it hard, and pedal assist 3, 4, 5. Majority of the time I just maxed this thing out. I got 28 miles out of this thing just trying to destroy that battery as fast as I could, and it took 28 miles. So range tests are tricky. Everybody's gonna have a different range. That's what I got out of it, pushing this bike pretty much to its limits for 2 hours. I went 28 miles on it, and it still had a little bit of juice left, but it was a drastic power decrease for sure. It was pretty much dead. All right, let's take a look at this right here. Full suspension bike. We've got a rear suspension. I like the way this is positioned. On the 800, it's more like right here, up and down. I like it kind of parallel with this top bar. I think that looks really cool like that. I was able to get this rear shock to flex a little bit. I weigh 175 pounds. And I could definitely feel it until it was working, until it was moving. So I do appreciate that shock there. That definitely helps to the comfort and the ride of this bike. It floated over the bumps pretty good. And speaking of comfort, look at this seat. Great seat. Love the seat. Big, huge, squishy, soft seat. It does have a kind of a vent there in the middle, but it's one of the Cyrusher ones that are spring-loaded, right? So it's a nice, squishy ride. I do appreciate a nice, soft seat. And there is a taillight built into the seat. This is, I didn't have this on the 800 or on the 650, but it is on this 900, and there's a little tiny button under here that you turn on. You push it once, you get a flash, push it again, you get solid, push it again, and it's off. So nice that you've got a little bit of a taillight built in right there. Although I will say this, when I rode this bike, I put a rear bag on this rack, which was up to here, and it pretty much blocked this taillight. So that is a nice feature if you're not gonna ride with a rear pack. I would love if the taillight was here. This is just a reflector that they put on there. It'd be great if they could, you know, integrate that taillight into the electronic system here and have it right here at the back of the rack. Now this bike came with a rear rack. I'm not sure if that is standard on the 900 or not. I'll have to ask Cyrusher. You can see the fenders hiding underneath here and front fender here as well. I like these fenders. I know a lot of people don't like this style. They like the full, you know, wrap around kind of fenders that protect from a lot of splash. I prefer these. I think it's a more off-roady, cooler look. So I do like these. I didn't have any problem with this flapping around. My toes didn't hit it. It functioned perfectly for me. I do like the fenders. Now you might be saying, well, what's going on here? Where's the controller box? It's not mounted here, it's not mounted here. Well, it's actually inside here. It's mounted inside the frame. It's hidden in there. If you take this battery off and then remove the, you know, the battery mounting plate and slide it to the side, there's a hole cut in this big massive frame. I mean, this takes up my whole hand. This is a big frame on there, and the controller's hidden inside there. I believe it's a 25 amp controller. All right, so if we slide back this way, you can see you got a Shimano Tourney, which I think is just kind of a base model Shimano shifter for your derailleur there. I can't remember the rear cassette, what the you know, the size is there. I can put that up on the screen. I know the front actually is a 42 tooth is the largest one. I'm not sure about the other two sizes. Again, it is a 21 speed bike, which honestly I think is unnecessary for this. I mean, when you've got the power of this motor, you don't really need those really low gears. When I rode this bike, I used like 4 gears, which were the 4 tallest or highest gears when I rode. Because this motor here, this is a powerful motor. It is a 750 Bafang motor, and it is outputting, I think the peak is like 1500, they say. I don't know from the screen. We'll get to that in a second. I'll show you why, but this thing is super powerful. So it's a 750 watt motor. However, it's peaking way above that, and this thing has got some juice. All right, so the overall riding position of this bike, it's a little bit, I guess, taller, kind of upright position. I love it. That's the kind I like. I don't want to be all hunched over on it. So I'll throw up some clips of me getting off and on this thing so you can see. I am 6 feet tall, about 170 pounds. I find this bike very comfortable. My wife, who is much shorter, she's 5'3", she could barely mount this thing. I mean, her feet were dangling, even with the seat the whole way down. So this is not for short people. Sorry, don't let me keep you from buying it, but I don't think you're going to be, I guess, happy with it if you're extremely short. They list on the website 5'7" to 6'6". I would agree. You need to be every bit of 5'7" to probably get on this bike and ride it comfortably and get your feet down. Okay, and before I forget, let's take a look at this display screen. So we're going to hit our mode button here for a couple seconds. Display comes on. So you've got your battery indicator at the top, your trip meter, odometer, you've got your speedometer in the middle, and then this screen actually gives you a watt output. So you can see how many watts you're outputting as you're driving around. But the thing is, it's only 3 digits. So very often as I was riding and giving this thing full power, it just goes 999. So it's just totally maxing out that display, and it doesn't tell you how many watts you get. So it could be 1001 or it could be 1500. You don't know. So it would be cool if we changed this display and you could actually see the total watt output. I believe the XF900 had a screen that would show you 4 digits, so you can actually see the total watt output. So this one was very frequently reading 999. So when I got this bike, I of course went into the display and maxed everything out, you know, the amps from the controller and the top speeds and everything. So I had this thing running at the max as I did all my tests. And the cool thing about Cyrusher is they put the programming manual, this is the S900 screen, they put all the programming manuals for these displays on their website. So you don't have to go searching for it. It is right there for you. You just go to the little support tab or whatever it is and download the whole display screen programming guide, and you can know how to set everything. You want to change it to kilometers instead of miles, and change top speeds and etc. You can do that very easily. All right, enough overview of this thing. Let me show you what this bike does performance-wise. I did take some performance footage of how fast can you pedal it and how fast does it go with the throttle and all that. So let's go take a look at that now. All right, here we are at the top speed pedaling area. And as you can see, we've got our display set into miles per hour. You'll be able to see the watts readout down here. I'm in pedal assist 5. We got our phone GPS speedometer up here side by side so we can, you know, match up the screens and see. We'll verify that this speed is accurate on the bike screen. We'll see how far off. They're usually a little off, a couple miles an hour. So we'll see how accurate this is and how fast we really go according to Speedo on the GPS as well. Hopefully you guys can see that. All right, here we go. All right, 0 to 20 miles per hour test. I'm gonna guess this one in the 10-11 range would be my guess. It doesn't feel as strong as the XF900. That one was really strong with throttle. This one's stronger pedal assist. So, and just so you know, the way I do this, I go in my editing software frame by frame and look at when the bike starts moving to when both screens read 20. And that's what I call 0 to 20. So well, let's give it a shot here. 3, 2, 1, go. Wow, it actually hit 20 on the GPS quicker than on the screen here. It's usually the opposite. Usually the bikes are ahead. Okay, throttle only top speed. I like to do them right here. It's flat for like 50 yards, then a slight downhill, then flattens out again. I think it's a realistic picture of how fast you could get this bike to go in just like a normal neighborhood. So I'm gonna guess it, I don't know, maybe 29-ish. Doesn't feel as strong with the throttle, so we'll see. The little downhill in there helps out, but let's give it a go. Not too bad. I think I saw like 31. All right, here we are at hill climb. We're gonna do throttle only up this hill first. And just based off my feel of riding this bike, I think it's gonna be a little bit, it's gonna be a lot slower on throttle only up the hill. The throttle doesn't feel as strong with this. I've got it in pedal assist 5, so make sure we get max throttle out of it. And let's see what it does here. Starts off pretty good. I think it's going to die a little bit though. We'll see. $14, $12, $13. Not bad. I mean, that's really not bad. It's stronger than a lot of bikes, actually. That was pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with that. That was pretty good. Let's spin around though and go try it with pedal assist. All right, now pedal assist up the hill. I put it into pedal assist 3. And then for the mechanical gears, I'm in the, the biggest sprocket on the front, and then in the back, it's in number 5. So I'm not in the high gear, I'm not in a low gear, I'm kind of in the middle. I like to put them somewhere in the middle. And then the way I do these, I just rotate the pedals. I don't put any push into the pedals, I just turn them so the pedal assist sensor catches and takes you up the hill. So here we go, let's see how this bike does. I took a good full rotation there to kick in, but it's flying. You can see my watts, 999. I have no idea because it only goes 3 digits. So I could be getting 1200, 1500, 1000, I don't know. That was pretty good. I mean, compared to the throttle, the speed was pretty similar. Might have been a little faster, but it definitely, it felt more powerful though. All right, so here's something I want to point out on the power delivery on this bike, and that is the pedal assist doesn't appear to be tied to a power output. Like when I ride a rad power bike, pedal assist 1 gives you like, I don't know, 100 watts, and then pedal assist 2 gives you like 2 something, and then pedal assist 3 is a little more, and it bumps up the power as you go through the pedal assist. This bike, the pedal assist appears to be tied to a mile per hour. So when you're in pedal assist 1, you're gonna see you're getting like 900 and something watts. It just dumps all the power into your feet at once until you reach like 12 miles an hour. And then you'll feel the motor back off. You bump up to pedal assist 2, again, just dumps power into the bike until you get to like maybe 18-ish miles an hour, and then it backs off, and it just keeps going up from there and through 3 and 4. So I've got a nice long straight stretch here. I'm gonna try to illustrate this for you. So I'm in the highest mechanical gear here, top speed gear, and we're in pedal assist 1. So you can keep an eye on my little watt meter here to show how much power you're getting. And you'll see the watts like back down once we reach like 12 miles an hour-ish. So let's just start pedaling here. All right, so there you go. Right off the bat, I mean, it was up to like 900 something, but now I'm close to 12 miles an hour, so it backed down to 100 watts. Now if I bump it up with pedal assist 2, again, it just dumped in 900 watts until we reached, 16-ish miles an hour, and it backed down to 300 watts, 400. Pedal assist 3, again, 999. It just maxed out the power, and it's just pulling like crazy till we hit about 20, and then it backed down. Pedal assist 4, again, 999. We just maxed out on the power, carrying me up to 20, 24, 25 is when it backed off. Pedal assist 5, again, 9999, just dumping all the power into your pedals. Let's see if we can get the back off. Right there, about 28 miles an hour it backed off. So I do that to show you that these pedal assists, it's not like you can be in pedal assist 1 and get nice, like gentle power. Pedal assist 1 is gonna give you like 1,000 watts. And it just pull it crazy until you hit 12 miles an hour. So you gotta know that. It's a strong takeoff on this bike for sure. It's got a lot of power on this bike. It's so much fun. If you're brand new to e-bikes, maybe that's not ideal, but if you've ridden them and you understand how they work a little bit and you're craving that more power, this bike's got it. And this bike just rides really nice. Takes bumps nice. Here's why I like the fat tire bikes. Detour. That was so smooth. That was so smooth. Combination of a lot of things. I mean, front suspension, rear suspension. You got a suspension seat. You got big old fat tires. I mean, this thing, riding on this, which is slightly bumpy with dips, is just as comfortable as riding on the sidewalks. Love it. All right, well, as you can see, this bike is very strong. It's very strong with the pedal assist. As I rode it, I found myself not really using the throttle a whole lot, just a little bit to get myself going, but mostly kept it in pedal assist. When I did the range test, I only got 28 miles out of it, and they say like 62 miles on the website, which is very generous. I was maxing it out. I was really beating on this bike for 2 hours. I threw everything I could at it, and it took all of it. It took me 28 miles of very hard riding, pedal assist 3 and up like the whole time. If I rode this bike as I just normally ride one of these bikes, keeping it in pedal assist 1 and 2, I would probably get 40 plus miles out of it pretty easily. Range is very hard thing to do. If you want to know the range of your bike, you are going to have to test it yourself. You can't listen to anyone like me or anyone else online. All we can tell you is what we got. If you want to know what you got, you're gonna have to test it. Another thing I'll point out is the 21 speed. I think is completely unnecessary, honestly. It's as I rode this for several hours, I used basically 4 gears on the bike and never left those 4. I never took it off the largest front chainring at all. And I used basically the 4 highest gears in the back. All right, citizens, so what are your dislikes? Well, there's a couple things that stood out to me. The tail light, which I pointed out earlier, I wish it had a tail light integrated into the controls and everything, and it was at the back of the bike. I think that would be very helpful, just so people know when you're braking. I like having a tail light. Another thing would be the screen. It's not my favorite screen. It has all the information you need, and it looks nice. I like the screen on the 800 a little bit better, so I would like if they changed that out. And the last thing is that the forks are pretty stiff. Definitely kind of hard to spring those for me. But other than that, there wasn't really too much I dislike about this bike. This is a great fun bike. I had a blast riding this thing. So it's definitely one you should put on your list. If you're looking at full suspension fat tire bikes, this is a strong contender for sure. Well, I hope you found that helpful or at least entertaining. If you did, consider hitting that subscribe button and also ring the bell too, so you know when I put out more review videos. And I think that's all for today. So thank you so much for watching.